Hello, I'm David Cruz. Welcome to the program. It is so good to be able to have this conversation with you today because we have two wonderful guests with us. Yes, we're virtual. We can't go into the studio, but I want to introduce a couple of friends. You know them because of the fine work they've been doing for so many years. Al and Leticia Perez of MarriageWell. Welcome to the program once again, guys.
Hey, good to be here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so very much. And, you know, as we use the word right now that I keep hearing, there's two words I hear a lot, together and recovery. And I can't think of two better words that might get us into this conversation of the work that you do with couples in crisis or couples that just want to see improvement and transformation in their relationships. Tell us again the kind of work that you do and why this is such a timely activity that we all ought to be focused upon.
Sure, David. Well, you know, MarriageWell, we provide resources throughout the community and now really even beyond here in our community and out of state. We provide resources for relationship. Everything from, we have a marriage coaching center here in Ventura, California. We also do a lot of virtual coaching via Zoom. We do workshops, seminars, and conferences, the education piece. We do a lot of really fun date night events. We've done a lot of things here in our area. We've begun to do date night events out of state. We did 2 in Oregon earlier this year. We had one scheduled last Saturday in Florida that had to be canceled due to the situation. But then we have an online presence where we're able to encourage couples, and we work with couples from dating all the way to crisis situations and everyone in between. And we have those kind of resources, just anything relationship. You know, our tagline is that, you know, we're a well of resources for your marriage and relationship.
And so, Leticia, as you and Al work with couples, and I know they come from so many different backgrounds, experiences, maybe even faiths, where do you find that common ground where you can begin that conversation on an aspect of our lives that can be very intimate and very, very private?
Yeah, you know, the one thing that we really, you know, we all need in our life, and that's hope. It's hope. And when we start talking about, you know, where are those areas in your life where maybe you've lost hope, and we're able to launch from there, and our goal is anyone who walks through that office, and no matter how discouraged they are, our goal and the goal of all our coaching staff is that these people would walk out with just even if it's just a glimmer of hope.
That's a beautiful thought. Al, during this time, and you referred to it as well, these are strange times, COVID-19 has, according to the stuff that I'm reading, it's been battering some families. Some relationships are under a lot of stress. Some have even just given up. People are just saying, as soon as this is over, I'm out of here. And I'm just wondering, what has COVID-19 done in terms of uncovering or maybe revealing work that we should have been doing that maybe we haven't? What do you think, Al?
Yeah, you know, David, as you asked that question, I'm thinking how, you know, the best way I can articulate it just in an illustration is, you know, sometimes when, you know, the river's flowing right, you know, I got my job, I got, you know, money's coming in, the kids are keeping us busy, we're busy running the kids around and all those things. It's like the water level is really high in a river. But then sometimes when a lot of that flow starts to shrink, you know, now maybe I don't have my job, now the kids, I don't have places to run the kids. All these distractions are out of the way, the water level goes down. And what happens is when the water level goes down, all the rocks start showing. And we realize, boy, you know what, I got a lot of rocks in there that we've not worked on, and they've accumulated. And now if we don't get help, it's a real issue. You know, we have a real heart for couples in this time because, you know, close quarters, we're together all the time, which we're not used to. And the kids are home. We're trying to homeschool. The roles have changed. It's, you know, there's some real challenges in families out there. And we see ourselves, David, as like first responders, is that we're always going to run to the fire. And right now, this is a fire. And we're trying to run to that fire and provide all the resources that we can, even now virtually, to be able to help all those couples.
Al Perez, Leticia Perez are with us today. MarriageWell, MarriageWell.org, a coaching center, a resource location, a wealth of information and knowledge and experience because they've lived it. We are living it together. And this is something that's real fundamental. You talk about principles in relationships as I read your teachings and things that you share with couples. What principles are you putting into play for us to consider, Leticia?
Well, you know, it's very important that as the couple comes in, that, you know, we want them to understand that it really starts with the individual, and that the goal is that the woman is going to work towards spiritual, emotional, and intellectual health, and the man is going to do the same thing. And as they do that for themselves, the readout is going to be that, as I get healthier, then health is going to start flowing out of me.
So let me see if I get this, Al, because you talk about the dynamic of health, health, health. And a lot of us think we're healthy, but we've never really done that word called work to truly find out how can we make an honest assessment of where we are so that we know where to begin and where to go.
Yeah. You know, David, when people come in, well, there's a few entryways to be able to do that because, like you said, sometimes, you know, maybe both the husband and the wife, they believe that, hey, I mean, we're pretty good, we're good. We just have this conflict within ourselves, you know, with each other. But, you know, or one of them thinks they're okay and one of them is not. But there's a lot of tools that we use on the front end as we listen to someone's story, and there's a conflict resolution tool that we use that is extremely, extremely effective to identify what we call them buttons, these fear buttons that we have that in relationship, you know, usually unintentionally, but sometimes intentionally, but usually unintentionally, we just push each other's buttons. And when we identify those, then we can walk them through a process. And we use a methodology called the Murray method to help walk individuals and the couples down a road to understand where the roots of a lot of these buttons or triggers that they have that just get, you know, illuminated in relationship. We help walk them to find the roots of those. And, you know, a little tip is that a lot of those things, most of those things, they originated way behind us when we were growing up.
That's funny. You know, you hear that, but now you're describing it in a way that makes a lot of sense. It can really go back to when we were kids. And so you say, so it's like we've been carrying all this baggage with us. Mm-hmm. How do we unpack it, Leticia?
Well, like Al mentioned, we use the Murray method, and it's just a phenomenal tool that we use to help people walk through, because they can start, you know, talking about everything today, but as we start doing the exercises, it helps them slow down and then methodically go through and go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that makes sense. That happened when I was 5. Oh my goodness, that happened when I was in junior high. And like you said, and all it does is in the present, you know, a trigger, a button, and boom, we're kicked back to our past, you know. And what it is for whatever reason, that little suitcase we carry around decided to open, and all that stuff comes out. And, you know, we can't keep it contained for a long time.
And here we're thinking that we're perfectly fine, but maybe when we do this Murray method with two people who have done it with so many couples and just relationships, that they can help be guides for us. Here's the location that I'd like for you to go to reach out to both Al and Leticia Perez at MarriageWell.org. It's info@MarriageWell.org. So simple. Info@MarriageWell.org. They're right here in the Central Coast, right here in California. But it doesn't matter. Wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, you can benefit. We can all benefit from it. And I want to talk about a word that comes up a lot these days, but I wonder if we really are doing it. It's called, I've heard the word together, especially with COVID. I've heard people say we're in it together, we're united. But Al, what you were describing before, and I have to tell you, I've gone through that change in my own life where the kids are grown and gone. It's my wife and I and 3 kitties we rescued. We had to redefine our roles because we see ourselves in the what of what we do every day, not in the who we are. That transition has not been easy. How do we navigate that kind of a change in life?
Yeah, well, what you just said, David, is so true. Is that, and it's just kind of the circle, if you will, of life. Is that we do play different roles throughout our lives. We get married, and it's just the two of us, and then all of a sudden we start having kids. We have all these different roles and responsibilities. We got to learn to work together. We've got to, get on the same page in terms of, disciplining the kids or doing all these things. And then all of a sudden they get grown and they're gone. And we kind of have to rediscover ourselves and rediscover our roles in that relationship. But I think what's most important is, throughout that whole journey from when we get married to when we become empty nesters and we're finishing out in this lifetime together, is that, the word commitment is the thing that really sticks in my head. Is that, if we're committed through the entire process, if we truly understood that when we got married, it was a covenant, we made a covenant with each other and with God, then you know what, that commitment stays no matter what, what storms come, no matter what changes come in our lives, and no matter what seasons and role changes happen, is that we can stay committed and evolve with it, but stay committed during, throughout that whole time. And sometimes, we need help in these different seasons. Sometimes it's all good, everything's going good, but then we get into some of these seasons in our life, and we got to raise our hand and say we need a little bit of help. That's, part of Leticia and I's story is, we were really struggling, about 8 years into our marriage, and thank God we raised our hand, went to go get some help, and we were able to do that. And then as we got healthy to, individually and together in our own marriage, we were able to reach back and help other people.
Why don't we together today decide that maybe this is the best time? COVID-19 has kind of thrust us into a situation we may not have been thinking about, but here we are with Al and Leticia Perez, MarriageWell.org, MarriageWell.org. Just go there, info@MarriageWell.org. Reach out to them. Take a moment to just begin that assessment. I really enjoyed listening to you describe changes in life as seasons, because there is for everything a season, and there's going to be an opportunity for us to go through that recovery. And the word that came to my mind as you were talking about commitment was a word that my wife shared with me, and I had to tell you, it was something I had to learn through her. She said, do you know what the word loyalty means? Because I was one of these guys who, if I didn't like something, I just would clam up. I wouldn't talk about it. I just would walk away. And she said, don't you understand what the word loyalty means? And frankly, 4 boys growing up in one household, we didn't have to deal with a lot of maybe the other side of our humanity, the female side, the feminine side. It was either, hey man, I like this, or I don't, and I leave. And she said, loyalty is a value that she learned growing up. I wanted to, share this. It's not about me, but I hope that something that we share together here gets the audience to think. And I wanted to ask you, Leticia, about that word loyalty. How important is this as one of the pillars in successful relationships, even those that may have been broken or fractured and are trying to stay together and rebuild?
Absolutely. It is very important that our partner feel that we're loyal to them. Because loyalty, it's an allegiance. They're on your side. And so to know that this person is on my side. Now, it doesn't mean we're always going to get along, but we also know that I can count on this person to be standing next to me as we're walking through, whatever life brings. And again, like you said, you would be like, well, yeah, I'm going to climb up and walk away. well, you know what? If we're really that loyal, then I'm going to do what I need to do to be able to express my feelings in a healthy way, to affirm my spouse, to let him know, hey, you know what? I'm walking through something, but I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together.
Oh, that reassurance just struck a chord with me, knowing that no matter what, we're sticking it out, we're doing it. But what if you encounter a moment, Al, where, and I know I'm giving you a lot of these what ifs, but so be it. What happens if only one person wants to go and participates with you, but the other person is stubborn and doesn't want to participate or doesn't believe in it, doesn't support it? How do you maneuver that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I take a lot of calls. To our center where that's the situation where people ask the exact question you just asked. We're really struggling in our marriage, but and you'd be surprised. We're working with quite a few men right now also, but whether it's the wife or the husband that says, I want to work on my marriage, but my spouse doesn't want to or is not ready. And we always use the word yet. The power of the word yet is huge. So we always say, okay, well, he's not ready yet. Okay, well, if he's not ready yet, but you're ready, then we want to encourage you to come in and, pair up with one of our coaches so that you can get the help and the support that you need. Because, again, like we said earlier, is that it takes health and health to have health, spiritual, emotional, intellectual health of each individual to bring that together to be able to have that healthy marriage. So if one's not ready yet, then we work with the individual. Quite honestly, we work with a lot of individuals. And then we really try to encourage. And then a lot of times the other spouse will see that change in the one that's doing some work, and that'll encourage them to come in and either do some things together or begin their own individual journey.
Yeah, you know what, David? That's actually what happened to us, is that when I finally just threw my hands up and said, I can't do this anymore, and we went and sought out help, actually Al started doing the work, because by that time I was just, I think I'm like done. I'm just, whatever. I was in this whatever mode. But Al is the one, our counselor just kept giving us homework, and Al was doing the homework. And it was amazing to see the change that was happening in him. And through that, it took me a few months, but then I started to engage in the process.
So let me paint a picture for you, and maybe this is like way too pedestrian, too basic, but again, I'm a creature of observation. I mean, that's what I do as a reporter. I see people whose faces are in their tablets or they're in their cell phones, and they're supposed to be having time together. I even see whole families doing that. How do we regain and recover ourselves and our relationship and stop all the distractions? Al?
Yeah. Well, I think, I believe that God designed us for connectedness. God designed us with a need to be connected to one another. And I think when we have situations like that, technology is great, but in a lot of ways it's disconnected us. It's brought us farther away. But the thing is, we all have an inherent need and desire deep down to be connected. And if some of these things, being, stuck in my iPad or on my phone or working 24/7, if that's not giving me the desired result, which is connectedness with my wife or my kids or my friends, the people around me, then I got to do something different. I got to do something different. And that, we preach that a lot at our center, is that, if you're here because you're not getting the desired result out of your relationship, right? So if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep getting the same result. I've got to do something different. I got to get my head out of that tablet, and I got to get back to some basic things. I think that's one of the benefits of what quarantine has done for us. A lot of people talk about the negative, but you know what? This whole situation with the virus and stuff, there's a lot of good coming out of this. You know, I mean, even Leticia and I, we played Battleship in bed the other day. She brought the game Battleship. I haven't played Battleship since I was 16 years old, I think, you know. And we played Yahtzee the other day. And, you know, we're doing things like that to be connected.
Oh, that's a beautiful picture that you've painted. My wife and I were doing dominoes on the patio this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
I want to come back to something. I want to come back and thank you for putting that in the context of where we are, COVID-19. Now we're going to come out of it. How do we keep from going back into the same patterns that got us into this place and at the start, Leticia? How do we avoid repeating patterns that get us into trouble and don't work?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, part of this, what we do at the center is help people establish boundaries, and those boundaries have to start with us, and we have to be able to set boundaries on the things that we're going to engage in, which is, you know, and we're, like you said, a lot of the tablets and phones and computers. So we have to make this conscious effort to set time aside. And even if we have to, we put it on our calendars and say, you know what, you know, I'm shutting it down for an hour a day and I'm going to connect with somebody. It's just very important that we be very mindful as, you know, the day that we do come out of this, that we are not going to fall back, but we're going to keep moving forward in a healthy way.
We're speaking with Al and Leticia Perez. They are with MarriageWell.org, MarriageWell.org, located right here in Ventura County. I mention that because you can go out and reach out to them. Go to info@MarriageWell.org, info@MarriageWell.org. Reach out to them. They have a center that you can visit. You can also do things virtually. Whatever is the most convenient and most comfortable way for you to begin that process, this is an invitation. That's all it is. You know, I hate to hit you with a big word at the very end, but it's one that comes back and resonates with so many relationships. Trust. When trust has been broken, can it be restored, Al?
Absolutely. And, you know, an illustration we use around trust, David, is it's kind of, you know, trust in a relationship is kind of like a checking account. In a checking account, there's two things that are inevitable. One is that we're going to make deposits, and two is we're going to make withdrawals, right? But the key to having a successful checking account is that I make more deposits than I make withdrawals. And, you know, there are times, right, throughout our life that maybe we were a little overdrawn in that checking account. Well, how do I get back into a right standing in my checking account? Limit my withdrawals, and I make more deposits. A deposit, a deposit, a deposit, a deposit. It's the same thing in relationship, especially in this area of trust, is that, you know, sometimes people come into us and they are overdrawn in the red big time in this area of trust. And, you know, all they can do to reestablish that, because it can be reestablished, is just make deposits, make deposits, make deposits. We're not perfect, so we're going to make withdrawals, but you limit the withdrawals and you just keep making deposits. Say what I'm going to do and do what I say.
So, Leticia, not that it's at the end of it, I hope that you will join us often, but as we kind of wrap up this conversation, you began by saying that it was you who started with the idea that, hey, I'm checked out, I'm done. But now you're both helping other people. How has your own experience been so valuable for you? And how are you now able to help others?
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what really opens the door many times, because people come in and sometimes they're, you know, the wall's up. I'm not sure, or maybe I've had a bad experience in the past with counseling. So when people come in, Al and I from the beginning determined that, you know, we are always going to be willing to share our story, and we need to be transparent. And when people hear our story and just see us be real, it's an encouragement. And they're like, oh, okay. Because then they get to see, you know what, hey, we're in this too. Actually, on the way into the office, we had to work through something. So they appreciate that. And it just keeps that door open to work with them.
Well, there you go. A day in, day out effort. It is a labor of love, truly is. That's what a marriage is. That is what a relationship is. God created this thing we call marriage, and guess what? It's a wonderful but often a very challenging paradigm, if you will, or dynamic. But here we are. Al, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Leticia for being with us, and we look forward to being able to have another conversation with you real soon.
Absolutely, David. David, can I share just a quick something that the Lord put on my heart for your listeners?
Please.
David, God put on my heart to share with your listeners, and I hope everyone out there listening can receive this, is that God said, told me that, let's not emotionally distance ourselves from one another. Right now we're supposed to socially distance, but let's not allow ourselves to be emotionally distanced from our spouses, and don't quarantine your heart from your spouse. Don't close that heart towards your spouse in this time, but keep your heart open to the Lord first, and then God will help you to keep your heart open towards your spouse. And I just wanted to share and encourage your listeners that, we're going to come out of this thing, and we're believing we're going to come out of this thing better than before. And that needs to be all of our prayer, is that we're different on the other side of this whole COVID-19 situation.
There we go. May an abundance of blessings flow to every person who's listening, especially those who are going through very, very difficult times. We all are, but some have greater challenges than others. Al and Leticia, thank you very much. MarriageWell.org. And again, if you want to reach out to them today or any day, go to info@MarriageWell.org. It's been my sincere honor. My name is David Cruz. We will speak again soon.